All right, everyone. Today I have an interesting song. It's not really so much of a song as it is a story. And my preschool friends will know this story because they have helped me tell this story before in the music room. And I have decided to kind of start on Mondays, parents that are watching. I'm going to start doing some more of these little stories. And they're really great because we're going to be using our hands and our fingers for some motor skills, but also it's going to allow us to access some different parts of our voices, which is really important for the little ones as they're figuring out how their voices work and how they can use them and things like that. So this is a story of two friends named Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle. This is one of my favorite stories to tell, and the kids really love it. They if you have a preschool aged student at home, they will be, I'm sure, eager to help you tell this story because it is one that is well loved in the music room. All right, I'm rambling, so I'm gonna start. So this is the story of two friends named Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle. Mr. Wiggle lives over here in this house, and Mr. Waggle lives over here in this house. Well, one morning, Mr. Wiggle woke up bright and early, and he decided, I am gonna go and visit my friend Mr. Waggle. So he opened his gate, creak, and he came outside, boop, and he closed his gate, creak, and he went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill until he got to Mr. Waggle's house. And he knocked on the door 3 times. And he waited for a little while, but nobody answered the door, and Mr. Wiggle decided, well, Mr. Waggle must not be at home. So I better go home. It's getting kind of dark. So he turned back around and he went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill until he got back to his house. And he opened his gate, creak, and he went inside, boop, and he closed his gate, creak, and he went to sleep. Well, the next morning, Mr. Waggle woke up and he decided he was going to go and visit his friend, Mr. Wiggle. So he opened his gate, creak, and he came outside, boop, and he closed his gate, creak, and he went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill until he got to Mr. Wiggle's house, and he knocked on the door 3 times, but nobody answered. Soon it started to get dark, and Mr. Waggle decided he should probably go home, so he turned around, and he went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill until he got back home to his house. And he opened his gate, creak, and he went inside, boop, and he closed his gate, creak, and he went to sleep. The next morning, Mr. Wiggle woke up, and after eating some pancakes, he decided to go and try again to visit his friend Mr. Waggle. Well, Mr. Waggle woke up, also ate some pancakes, and decided he was going to go visit his friend Mr. Wiggle. They were going to try one more time. So they opened their gates, creak, and they came outside, boop, and they closed their gates, creak, and they went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill until they ran right into each other. And Mr. Wiggle said, hello, Mr. Waggle. And Mr. Waggle said, hello, Mr. Wiggle. And they were so excited to see each other that they gave each other the greatest, biggest hug ever. And they talked for a while, and then they had a dance party. And then they decided that they needed to get home before bedtime. So Mr. Wiggle said, goodbye, Mr. Waggle. And Mr. Waggle said, goodbye, Mr. Wiggle. And they turned, and they went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill till they got back to their houses, and they opened their gates, creak, and they went inside, bloop, and they closed their gates, creak, and they went to sleep, and they lived happily ever after. The end.